My name is Shriti Lekha Kar I'm from Bishop Cotton Girls. My question is for Mr. Ramesh. In the history of the world, there has always been a wide, unbridgeable gap between the privileged few and the multitude of unprivileged people. Most often, this has led to a revolution. Is India moving towards that?
No, it's a good question, and in some sense related to the question on reservation. I don't want to get boxed into, somehow being the unofficial spokesperson for the underprivileged on this dais. I think that the good news about India's growth is that no matter what people say, it is actually inclusive growth. There is an enormous amount of opportunities for economic, upliftment that's happening. The statistics don't seem to suggest that very well, but they say there's truth, lies, and statistics, so it's very hard to separate these two. Let me give you again the positive side of it from our experiences. The urban informal economy, urban India is about 30% of our population. In some states like Karnataka, it's close to 50%, and we actually undercount urban India because of some particular issues with the census and so on. But if you look at the urban informal economy, it's actually feeding off of the urban formal economy. The kinds of jobs that companies like Infosys have, for every white-collar job, there is a number of blue-collar jobs that get created, whether it's the drivers or the maids or the dhobis or whatever else, right? And the security guards and so on. So that is happening, and the urban informal economy is growing at the same pace of the urban formal economy, which is in double digits. The challenge is, how do we ensure that these people get access to the services that they need? And what I mean by services is access to water, sewage, housing, access to financial services and so on, and to some extent access to skills so that they can also bootstrap themselves up. I'm very confident, actually, I'm optimistic that India will find an answer to this, and the answer will come partly from the government acting as an enabler and partly from the market acting as the provider of economic opportunities.
Thank you, sir. Also, everyone's just getting carried away using archaic words.
Just a minute. I want to add to what Ramesh said. India has 300 million people who are the middle class today. At the time of freedom, we had maybe 5 million. Our average life expectancy today is 67 years. At the time of freedom in 47, that's 27 years. India's GDP today is 78 lakh crores. It will double in 10 years and double again from there in 10 years' time. In 20 years, you're going to see an unbelievable change in India. In 20 years, India will be the third largest economy in the world after China, America, and then it will be India. And then in this decade, we'll have another 150 million people joining the ranks of the middle class. And the decade after that, maybe another 200, 250 million. By 2030, about 50% or 55% of population will be in the urban areas, where because of concentration of economic activity, the opportunities will be enormous. And then, the challenge with India today is, agriculture makes up 14.5% of our GDP, growing at 3%. And agriculture employs 56% of our population. Agriculture cannot support this population. So you have to shift people from the agriculture sector to industry, for which you require better policies, and you need industries which employ people. And this transition has to happen, and is happening in a very, very big way. Now you don't see much of it because you're looking at things on a day-to-day basis. But if you step back 20 years and look at what is happening today, you see an unbelievable change. And you look forward 20 years from now, your generation is going to see unbelievable prosperity compared to the Justice's generation, or maybe my generation. So things are very, very positive. And let me end by saying, this is the best country in the world to be for the next 20 years.
I'm sure, sir. Thank you.
Mohandas, your reference to life expectancy reminds me of what somebody put up on Marine Drive in Bombay. The government doctors had gone on strike, despite requests from the government not to do it. And some witty chap put up a banner on Marine Drive in Bombay in which he said, "Government doctors on strike, life expectancy goes up."
Yes. Mohan, you are dot on when you talk of India being the powerhouse in 20 years' time. There are no doubts about it. But the problem is, to be a powerhouse, you should have your population which is educated and trained. As of now, 2011, we are still talking about something like less than 30% who achieve the 12th standard level. Access to 12th standard is limited to less than 30% of the age group of students who enroll, say from first standard, and when they come into that age group of 12th standard, only 30% are there. And when you come into higher education, we are still talking of 11%. No nation can ever be a developed nation unless you have at least 30% of its population going through higher education, and the remaining going through the skill sets of skill-trained and trained certified craftsmen. That is the need of the hour. Mohan has the vision, and I'm sure he is going to provide the impetus for a larger number getting into the higher education.